You are listening to the Critical Mass Radio Show, Orange County's business talk show, focused on exploring topics of interest to CEOs who are leading middle market companies. With your host, Richard Franzi.
Hello and welcome to Orange County's longest running business talk show. And yes, I am your host, Rick Franzi. And boy, do we have a good show planned for you today. Why do you ask? Because G. Abrams is our guest. He is a serial entrepreneur, man of many interests, and he's also a published author. And we're going to be talking about his latest book here in a few minutes. G, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me, Rick. Thank you again so much. I'm so grateful and honored to be here and appear on the longest running radio show in Orange County. It's truly a blessing.
So let's get right into it. And before we kind of talk about the present day, maybe you can take us back in time and share with us your kind of entrepreneurial journey. You know, what brought you to this point today that you're now here on my program, my friend?
Well, honestly, Rick, I would have to state, from my early childhood and upbringing, entrepreneurship and business was taught in the home because my father was, most importantly, my grandparents were. So I was kind of ushered into it. And at a young age, there was always something to where we had an additional income, something that we loved to do and would do it just because. And created a business out of it. So one of the loves that I had was music. I graduated in School of Music. I went to School of the Arts, some private school before that, but that led me to opening up a record label with my oldest brother and my first cousin. So we partnered up and started a venture in my early teens,
So I said you were a serial entrepreneur, and it really started at a young age, I guess, which is an advantage, I would think, because you got to see it from the inside, and it wasn't a foreign idea for you. What do you think?
It really wasn't.
Okay, what do you think has been some of the keys to being a successful serial entrepreneur? Because you talked about one of them, but you're in a bunch of different ventures, which we'll get to here in a moment.
Yeah, so I have a conglomerate. One of my enterprise, basically Bungi Enterprises, and basically what that is as a serial entrepreneur. Of course, I'm an author, but I'm an artist first. So I do music, and I also manage other musicians and artists. But above that, I produce. So I can create music because I've been skilled and groomed in that as growing up. But then I also at a young age was taught to run that business and was given the household chores and finances to be able to take care of the financial aspect. So I also provide accounting services and business management for many years. So that has been an employment situation, and also a spinoff into services that I provide under my enterprises for accounting services and business management. And that started again at a very young age in my teenage years, just handling the home chores, then the business chores, and handling all those business affairs, and then handling those finances. And also spinning off to doing the things that I love, which is music and also just writing. I've always been a creative. As you can see, my backdrop. I like to take pictures also. I take a lot of sunsets and sunrise pictures by being bi-coastal. So I enjoy the art of being able to explore your dreams. I've always been taught, my family, my mom, she always instilled in me to go after your dreams, to dream big. My dad would say, if you can conceive it, you can believe it, you can achieve it. And he's a go-getter. So that attitude has always been with me, that hustle. You ask what it takes. It takes discipline. It takes you wanting to do it. Once you find that purpose on your journey, then that will empower you, and it will continue to propel you. And of course, there are tools that we have to use. There's a lot of self-help and motivational, and that's what I do. That's the positive conscious type of individual that I am from the upbringing,
Yeah, and that's in a spirit of full disclosure. I first met G through one of the members of my ref community, and G is now a member of one of our groups in our ref
Exactly.
community, which is great. And you always, for whatever day of the week it is, you always have some positive acronym, adjective, something to describe the day of the week. And I love that positive energy that you consistently present yourself with to me, and I'm sure to others.
Well,
It's a real blessing.
I'm definitely light, and I like to stay in the light. I do believe that we've seen so much darkness in this world, and of course we all have had darkness in our life, but at the end of the tunnel there is light. And yes, from one of the members, and I can, Amari Kurtz, which is also an employer, because I use my accounting and business management skills where I'm a controller
Right.
for Calpac and OC Metals in Orange County, where I reside and where I live also. But yes, being a light instrument, and being able to project that outward to help others in personal development and self-help. Of course, me as an individual, as you stated, I bring that because that's whatever comes in goes out. So I try
Mhm.
to make sure I always feed that, not just walking the coast and getting that, but also affirming and making sure, that was a dream to be able to I'm a Floridian, okay? I'm in Florida right now, at my mother's, and just spent the weekend on the beach in Ponte Vedra with my dad and my other side of the family. But being coast to coast, that was always a dream to be. I want to be able to do that. I saw people do that. My dad put me in the surroundings of individuals to do that, and we always stayed on the coast because he was in the Coast Guard. So that was one of my dreams. So being able to do that now at an older age in life, and I've been doing this for like 25 plus years. Okay, so
Uh-huh.
that gives me motivation to say you can do it, to see others do it, and to continue to do it. That's what helps to continue to keep that light and growing. But without God, nothing is possible. You know what I'm saying? You can do all things through God. I'll definitely state that first, because without that, I can't do anything. So I have to put my faith and trust, in something, in the universe, if you want to say that, for our listening audience. We'll
Mhm.
just keep it wide, because at the end of the day, there's a creator. So something brought us here. So what is your purpose? Why are we here? So it's just tapping into that. And once you tap into that and you do what you love, that goes back to some of our great motivational speakers, like Think and Grow Rich with Napoleon Hill, down to Earl Nightingale, and people like Les Brown. These are people that have been in my corner for over 20 years that I
Mhm.
continue to listen to continue to get that information to propel me to the next step of achieving the goals and dreams and aspirations that I have in my life. Yeah.
Yeah, and now you can see, ladies and gentlemen, we're getting G warmed up, and he's relaxing, and being more of his personality is coming through on the program, and that is perfect. It's I've I've been looking forward to having this chance since you gave me a copy of your book. You were generous enough to hand out a copy of this book to each member of your group, and I so appreciate it. And I said, "Wow, I got to have you on the show to talk about In Tune with Purpose." Now, this is an entrepreneur's life and business post-pandemic, which is, kind of a seminal moment in a lot of entrepreneurs' lives. So this is your third book, yes?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
So I have also under Bungi Enterprises, I have Bungi Abrams Publishing, which I do self-publishing. Because I'm a writer, I'm always writing. So it's like many years, you have to go and say, I want to write a book. I'm an
Mhm.
artist, I'm writing songs, but I want to write a book. So I got to a point to wherein, and that was a challenge, because and going back to you receiving the book, let me say that, because when we talk about in our peer group meeting is, maybe a goal or something, and I say I'm finishing my book, and you stated, well, when you're done, bring it in and share it. So I thought when I got done 6 months later, it took 5 years to create it, okay, but then 6 months into it, I brought it in to make sure that you're able to see it. So my dad always said, proof is in the pudding, okay.
Right.
So, and being from the show me state, I'm not just talking about it, I'm being about it. So the book is about life lessons and things that I've been through, um, living the Hollywood dream. I'm living on the coast, bi-coastal, flying back and forth, married, and family crisis hit. Boom. Now I'm in a going through a separation and a second divorce that I didn't want. I didn't know. It just happened. So when you're riding high, and I talk about starting at one is having that vision, right? So you have that vision. You're there. You're riding on cloud high. But then how do you deal with it when you have these issues? So now we have divorce, and now you got COVID happening. And all this is in the midst of creating and writing, in tune with purpose, because it's an entrepreneur's life and business post pandemic. So I talk about again my life and life lessons of having a vision of being able to wanting to expand my business, being bi-coastal, being an artist, being an entrepreneur, producing with the label, using my services in accounting and management to help other business owners to achieve their maximum goals. Because I've been there, I've done that many times. Starting here in Florida, I was already in my office in Florida, in my own studio, good. Even with the television stuff, because there's so many different layers to me, to wherein, like we have a nonprofit that we started. And I talk about that in the book, and losing two business members, and how do you deal with, those critical moments of crisis. So I talk about in like the second chapter is, how I dealt with, with going through my second divorce, losing business partners, and still continuing on, even though you're by yourself, and you're 3,000 miles away from home, and the odds are stacked against you. I talk about that in some of the other books. All three of my individual books are about self-help and personal development. They will give you keys and principles and nuggets, of things that I have learned. But again, it's the proof is in the pudding. I talk about, achieving these things that you go through, how I handled it. Maybe, one individual may be able to grab something and go to the next level. Maybe it may save someone's life because something I heard it saved me, and I continue to pour that out to everyone that I'm able to touch, that's able to see my light, and we just love off each other from that way.
So, G, as I was reading your book, I was thinking, you tell me, but it felt like this was a cathartic opportunity for you to sort of pour yourself and your journey into words on a book that are intended to inspire and help others. But it also felt like, to me, it might have been needed in your life at that time to help
It's definitely
you.
self-help. Definitely self-help. Yes. Every song, every book, every word, every line is all self-help. First here,
Hmm.
right? And to help someone else. But first here. And speaking of that, I talk about in the book having to commit myself to self-help development through counseling and
Yes.
therapy,
Yeah, you were very
right?
open about that. Yes.
Yes, definitely, because I was so against that, and that was one of the pivotal points of why that separation occurred. Because from my tribe and how I was raised is you went and you talked with your elders,
Right.
you went and you talked to your members of the congregation, the church, whatever your affiliation was, whether if it's the bishop, the pastor, or the overseer, or whomever. And you just did not go to outside therapy. But now, since the pandemic has hit, it is a big wave, and we
Hmm.
actually need it because,
Yes.
I found myself, I was already social distancing, sitting on the beach, okay, by myself, writing in my second, going into my third book when the pandemic hit, so there's also some things where business hurdles where I talk about in forward chapters about how to overcome those things, because in business, as an entrepreneur, uh, that shut down.
Hmm.
So everyone now is an intro entrepreneur per se. When the pandemic hit, because how am I going to make money? How my business is going to thrive? So now everyone has this freedom too to work from home remotely. So that changed the industry a little bit. So I took a different approach because I was always out of the office, 20 plus years, to wherein now I see there's a void place. So let me go back in the office. And I needed it because I took, many years outside of that environment to where now I want that unity. I want to be able to project some of what I've learned throughout the years to help others to achieve their goals, and for their business. And that's what we're doing even now in Orange County with Calpac and OC Metals.
So I wonder if you could maybe there's 10 chapters in the book, and one of the chapters is titled, I Know Who's the Boss at Work. And you had an interesting thought exercise about being the boss and what the boss means. And I wonder if you could just maybe peel back the onion a little bit on what is that chapter 4 in your book, and what you mean about the boss.
Who's the boss at work? So there's always the boss. There's always a boss. The boss has a boss. Even our president has a boss.
Yeah.
Even if, we all have a boss somewhere. So I talk about, giving it over to our creator, right? So I was brought up, I went to Christian school as a youth growing up. I grew up in the ministry at an early age. So I was always, on the pulpit around pastors. My granddad, them started churches, founded churches, and were pastors and ministers. So I have always had a reverence for who's orchestrating and who's actually in charge, right? So I can't do anything without first acknowledging that in my life, because God is the author and finisher of my faith, right? And without faith, works is actions. Faith, right? Substance, things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. That's what it states. We talk about these things. Even we going back through time, one thing we all have in common is, the thought, believing. They thought about it, they achieved it. Even the Wright brothers, people said, hey, they couldn't. Why would you do that? Hey, we got buggies. Why are you doing this car? We got gas cars. Why are we doing electric cars? Why are you wanting to go out of space? So not to get too far off, but there's always someone in charge, right? So the boss, to what I talk about there, is making sure that you reverence and have some type of spiritual connection to know, and not just rely on self, right? Or others. That is a method. Yes, I need this peer group. I need this self-help development individual that I may be listening to on audio or reading their book, and these things to help me get to the next level. But again, without who made that sun behind me, that's what's orchestrating. That's the boss at work. So acknowledging that, that's what I deal with in that chapter. I'll also add, my granddad, which was my step granddad, who was over the church, and I would always be on the pulpit and recording and stuff, and he would record. He was over the choir also. My brother played the drums, so I was always around music and things of this nature. And that's how I learned how to record and got me into the recording business, because I was recording a pastor for radio at 13, okay? And we taped it reel to reel, and I cut it and went straight to radio. But he would sing this song, and I would do all the mics and stuff for the choir. Big church, right? Great congregation here. Many churches. It was a great spinoff. I seen the pastor take to entrepreneurship in the church, and miracles happen. But he sung this song, "Prayer Will Fix It," every time. So without prayer, I don't see any change. But with prayer, all things are possible, and it can change. It changes things. So aligning ourselves and knowing who's in charge, not me, but him. You know what I'm saying? Or it. Yeah.
I got that from the chapter. I wish we had more time to go into each chapter, but what will people get from buying your book and spending the time to read it? What do you hope helps them in their life, or what impact are you looking for the book having on the individual who reads it?
Most of the time when I have a conversation with individuals, or I'm talking about someone and listen to a song, I always hear, well, man, I appreciate that. That was helpful, So in some way, some nugget, some fine, eat it up, spit it out, and digest it. That's what Les would always say. you're not, you're not going to like everything, but if you just, give it a try, you might find something.
Uh-huh.
You might find one sentence. You might like none of it, but you might just like the last word, and that may save the day.
Hmm.
That may take you to where you need to be or would like to be. It's just hope. It's energy in it.
Yes, there is.
So I would always urge, get the book. Download the ebook, but get the paperback. There's 3 paperbacks out there. Get them now. They're collectible items because I'm a collector also, and all my material is collectible things. Yeah.
So we're gonna let people know how they can find your books and that in a minute. But before we go there, I was just wondering, you've thrown out a lot of kind of thought exercises and sayings and words that have been helpful for you that have come from other mentors in your life. But I'm wondering, is there something else that you could pay it forward with my audience, a piece of business advice that you've picked up along the way that you would find valuable and you could share with my audience?
Having been to where I'm at now, to know that if you can conceive it and believe it, and I said this already, repetitive, repeat, discipline. That's the discipline about this thing, okay? If you can conceive it, thought, that's what we all have in common throughout the years. Just go back. Man, they'll tell you, Alexander time, all these people that build the pyramids, everything. Just think about it. If you can conceive it and believe it, really believe it. Like, I believe I was going to be on this shore, right? And not just on the shore back home. I've done that. But California, that's big to me. You can achieve it. Conceive, believe, achieve. And
that.
like, hey, like Les always say, it's possible. It's possible. Great. It's possible, man. It's definitely
it goes
possible.
on this shoulder, I guess. It goes with my saying from Henry Ford, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Mindset is, especially for an entrepreneur, mindset is such a framing device for them. And you have to have the right mindset, because being an entrepreneur, life will test you. And if you're not clear on your purpose and your vision, many people have gotten lost or given up because they just didn't have the drive to succeed as an entrepreneur.
Well, I like to stay balanced. I have those moments. I mean, I was on a small hiatus from radio and TV because I've done, many television shows and had them on public access for many years also. We didn't even get into that part with the Stop the Violence, Use Your Talents, which is our 21st year anniversary, where I lost my brother and my first cousin. And that's why I'm back home in Jacksonville now. And we put some flowers down on his memorial site today with my mom. But, yeah, it's very important that, we shed our light and, self-help through positive affirmations. I can't stress that more importantly to the people that I am around on a day-to-day basis. Because, when you're pushing for a goal in order to stay in purpose, it's like working out. You have to give yourself those mental muscles also, and mental workouts to build those mental muscles to get you over those hurdles. And we all experience them.
I was reading your book, I was thinking kind of in tangent with the conversation that you have in the book, that the voice that any individual hears most frequently is that voice in their head.
Oh man, that inner man. That's one of the worst ones right there. That's the killer. That wedge of discouragement. That's
or on the other side of it,
tools.
How powerful it can be if it is framed from encouragement. We are the stories that we tell ourselves, right? Whenever we encounter an obstacle, it's very helpful to say, I've dealt with something similar, maybe even worse. I came through that. I'm going to come through this. Because you talk about in the book, things are temporary.
Self-talk.
Yeah, nothing's permanent. Things are temporary. So very powerful.
It's always working out. It's going to work out. We'll get past it, And I had to tell myself that going through, a divorce. I had to tell myself that when I lost my brother. I had to tell myself that when the pandemic hits and, what are you going to do, when you're 3,000 miles away from home and all your loved ones and everything gets shut down and there's no work. What are you going to do?
Right.
You gotta positively, mental talk to yourself, and that's what I deal with in the book. In every chapter, I deal with a life lesson that I've experienced. Again, um, I have to be about it. I wouldn't put it out if I wasn't about it. I'm just a genuine G. That's why everybody calls me G. I'm just genuine, man.
I love
It's
that.
nothing but love.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
all love. And
I
I give
believe that.
God the glory for it.
And I can testify that in my encounters with you, that is true. You are who you are always. And I'm wondering, what's your vision? Kind of wrap up the talk here today. What's your vision for your future for yourself, my friend? I know
Oh
you
man,
probably.
it's some great things happening. It's some great things coming. Don't worry, you're going to be around. You're a part of some. You're a part of some of these things, Rick. You already know that. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm bi-coastal. I'm back home in Florida now. I'm growing out in California. It's been over 25 years. I've been growing the label. There's things that's kicking off with the music. I just released a new track today as an artist myself. I have some things that I'm working on overseas, international. Of course, I came out to California with scripts on the desk. There's also a revamp of the Stop the Violence television show. But above that, even from an employment standpoint and where I'm at with business and helping, it's great, man. We got a conversion that we're doing on a new ERP system that I'm learning. I'm learning new trades. The whole e-commerce out there in California, that is huge as far as the economy in Orange County. Of course, we've suffered the fires, but now we're at a state to where we're rebuilding and we're moving forward. That's another song that I have, moving forward, where I'm dealing with that, with how do we move forward, because we are as a unit. As a state, as a whole, the people, get together and push forward, so that build back is going to happen. So I'm excited about that. The Olympics is coming up. All of the growth and things that I'm around and surrounded by just gives me good energy to stay focused and on my plan and want to be a part of it. Yeah.
So if someone would like to connect with you and learn more about your other ventures, possibly buy a copy of your book, where do they go to do that? How do they do
You
that?
can always go to my site, gabrams.com, or Gernado. Everybody calls me Gernado sometimes. That's my artist name, but my business professional name, I go by G Abrams. That's my writer name also. It's my name. Don't wear it out. But if you want to, go right ahead on, type it in, gabrams.com. That's Abrams. Just like J.J. Abrams, Star Wars, that guy. Yeah.
Well, I told you at the top of the show, ladies and gentlemen, we had a good one planned, and G, you did not disappoint. Thank you for giving of your time, fitting me into all the stuff that you have going on there in Florida today and this week. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm grateful, man. It's grateful to be able to shine some light and also get some energy from you. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. I can't wait to get to our next meeting that we have and see what's coming up for 2025 moving forward. This is my 50th year. I'll be 50 this year also. So let's go.
Year. Yeah, man. All right. So to all the guests and to our audience, thank you for being a part of the program. You are a part of Orange County's longest running business talk show. G's episode is now part of our catalog of over 1,500 shows that we've done over the years. If you happen to be a peer entrepreneur or you're a nonprofit leader here in Orange County and you too would like to share your story with our audience, reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'm Rick, R-I-C, Franzi, F-R-A-N-Z-I. And between Haley, our producer, myself, we'll get you ready, and you too can have an episode dedicated to your story here on Critical Mass Business Talk Show. Until the next time we all have a chance to be together, I hope all of your business decisions moves your company in a positive direction.